if you're a tradie or a contractor who is absolutely keen to grow their business, but you haven't been able to do so because the agency or whoever you've hired has just let you down and taken you for a ride, in this video I'm going to explain exactly why that is and how you can get ahead of the curve. So the very first thing we need to talk about is what actually has happened. Before, you would have ABC Plumbing, let's say, and let's just say this is 10 years ago. ABC Plumbing wants to grow their business. Now, what do you need to grow your business? You need more business, you need more jobs, you need more leads. So what they would do, ABC Plumbing will go to ABC Agency and they would ask them for help. Then what ABC Agency would do is, right down here, they would create an account on Google or Facebook ads, because that's the easiest and fastest way to get leads. They'll do Facebook ads, let's say Facebook ads, SEO, Google ads, whatever, doesn't matter. The point is, ABC Agency would do this work on behalf of ABC Plumbing, and ABC Plumbing will actually own all of these assets themselves. So the end result for ABC Plumbing is more leads. And then what happens when you get more leads? Well, obviously you get more jobs and then you make more money and then cash. Now, a lot of clients that I've signed on have actually been with an agency and they've done all of this, but they didn't get a result. And they're always asking me, why is that the case? And the truth is, unfortunately, they might be doing half a job with whatever this is. They might be incompetent. That's the number one reason. They are most likely incompetent and they are not doing exactly what they say they're doing, or even if they are doing exactly what they're saying they're doing and you're not getting a result, well, obviously something's not quite right there and you haven't actually done any of this properly because the agency has sold you a dream and you didn't actually get the result. So that's the number one reason. It's actually incompetency. If you want to know if your agency is incompetent, I'll link a few videos on how to actually check to see for yourself. So that's the number one reason, is actually incompetency. Great. Now we know that agencies are incompetent. So now we know agencies are incompetent, but how come there's still a lot of tradies getting screwed? Now what's happened recently is there's been a lot of internet people that have popped up online because the truth is there's no capital required to start an agency. All you need is a laptop. So what's happened is random internet person has started an agency. So random person agency. Now, there is a few things that they are offering that are not in your favor in comparison to the traditional method. What's happened is, instead of the agency running the ads for you on behalf of the business, they've completely cut this bit out, and what they're doing, so we'll cross that out, is they've got a generic page, and a good example, and you've probably seen it before, is someone putting up ads on Facebook for renovation quotes. So get your free quote, click this ad now. That's what they're doing. So they've got a generic page plus Facebook ads. So that's their model. So generic page plus Facebook ads. They are running the most generic Facebook ads they can so they can get the cheapest leads. Now, what do they do with those cheap leads? Well, they sell it to you. You, ABC Plumbing, now you've completely cut out your own marketing and now you are paying for the cheapest leads. So let's say you pay $50 a lead. Now, that might sound great on paper because you're only paying per lead you receive, but remember their model is to have the generic page, run their own ads, get the cheapest leads possible because they only get paid per lead. So you pay $50 per lead, but it's just a random lead and this lead has no idea that ABC Plumbing is calling. You do get more leads, that's correct. However, more jobs isn't necessarily the case. Why? Because it's a generic lead. All they've done is randomly clicked on an ad and gave out their information. For one, there was no branding involved, so they have no idea who's calling. Two, probably no qualification was done either because they just filled out their information. So it's someone that might not actually be interested. Or number two, it's someone that's not ready to go right now and you have to spend more time closing jobs. For one, you're going to spend more time closing the jobs, and two, you're going to decrease your close rate because less of those are going to actually turn into a job. So instead of doing it the traditional agency model, where they run all the ads for you, it's all your own branding, everything of this is yours and you own it. Now they're just running their own generic ads, getting the cheap leads for let's say $5 or $10, charging you 50. You get more leads because that's exactly what you wanted. Now you've got less jobs and a lower closing rate, but you're spending more time closing the deals. When I get a phone call from someone who's like, oh, can you do a pay per lead model with me? I tell them no, because of this very reason. It doesn't actually work. If you do marketing the traditional agency way before, sure, you have to spend $2 or $3 grand a month just for the agency, and sure, you have to spend $2 to $3 grand for the ads. However, you can actually decrease your cost per lead, let's say to $25 over time, but every single lead knows that you're calling. Depending on the way you've actually qualified them, they're going to be qualified as well, so you get more leads plus more sales with more money, whereas this way, you're actually getting less money, less dollar signs for you. There is another agency model that you need to be aware of as a business owner. Sounds great on paper, but once you dive into it, it makes no sense at all. Now you've signed on with another agency. Now we've got Random Person Agency 2.0. Now these guys are really special. They have their generic page, they have their own Facebook ads. Sometimes they can actually use your Facebook page, so just be aware of that. But now we got something interesting. Now, after the generic page to the Facebook ads, now we go over here, and now we have someone who takes our calls. We'll call them appointment setter. Now we got an appointment setter. This appointment setter's job is to receive all the leads from the ads, call the leads, qualify the leads, and then you get your lead. This sounds really good as well, but let me just quickly mention, if you want this service, depending on what you do, let's just say it can range from $100 anywhere up to $500 per lead or per appointment. You're gonna get less leads, that's for sure, because it's gonna cost you more. So depending on how much you wanna pay, you're gonna get less leads, but you're gonna say, oh, but they're gonna be higher quality because someone has already pre-qualified them for me. Well, this appointment setter, ask yourself, are they in the country that you're in? Is this person paying this person the average wage in your country? Because the chances are they're not. What they've done is they've hired someone from overseas because, you guess it, it's cheaper. Now we've got someone from overseas who is not a local and most certainly does not sound local calling our leads to pre-qualify them. When you get an overseas phone call, how do you react? Probably not well, and probably you're gonna keep your guard up and you're not gonna tell this person anything, so you're gonna be less qualified. So by the time you get the lead, they're not actually warmed up at all because all they've heard is this person and you have not built trust and rapport with the customer. That's another model and it absolutely can work. However, you need to be aware of who's actually calling your leads. And this is what I always tell my clients because I used to sell this shit myself. You need to build trust and rapport with your customer because if you don't build trust and rapport, you are not closing the job. And you want to close the job. So you should either be calling the leads yourself as a business owner, or you should be training someone in-house to deal with all your leads so you can build that trust and rapport. Because if you build no trust and rapport, no one's gonna buy from you, no matter how cheap your price actually is. Now we've got another model we need to go over. So we got the same generic page with Facebook ads, and this one actually does go to the leads, just like that. Except these guys, you don't pay. Yeah, that's right, you pay them only when the job closes. So when the job closes, now you're hitting the ticket. When the job closes, you pay them either a monetary value that you've already discussed or a percentage of the job. That might sound great, however, that is risky for you because the more leads you get and the more you actually close, you're gonna be spending more as you earn more. So your cost to acquire a customer never goes down. So you're spending money on the leads, you're spending money closing, and now you have to spend more money as you earn more money. It's like tax. You are literally being taxed for all the jobs that you close. And you're doing that because you're paying Random Person 2.0. How is that useful as a business owner? Well, it really isn't because your cost to acquire a customer is always gonna go up and it will never come down. Whereas as a business owner, you want to do as much marketing as possible. You want to generate as many leads as possible for the best price. You want to acquire customers for for a lower price. If you keep paying per job you close, your customer acquisition cost does not go down. Now, I'm not saying any of these models don't work. What I'm saying is, if you're a growing business owner, these models might not actually be the best for you because of the reasons I just outlined. So if you're a business owner who genuinely wants to grow and you want to hire an agency, what you want to do is look past the salesperson and just go straight to the results. See what results they've actually got for other people. Chances are they can't produce it, they don't have it. So make sure you see the results, and you want to watch my other videos on how to read these reports from these agencies to see if the wool is being pulled over your eyes, or perhaps they actually know what they're doing. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below.